CHROs can become CEOs.
How do you see HR 3 years ahead?
AI enabled HR. It'll never tell you why it cannot feel. Where will it bring the spirit from?
AI will replace HR.
Both are right and both are wrong. I am fully bullish about AI. Can AI make soldiers fight? Their leadership, trust, belonging, passion, where will it come from? HR is the custodian of human story. AI is catalyst. It's not a productivity tool. It can even cheat you. So if you feed it broken data, it'll emulate brokenness. Start with the problem. Don't start with the AI.
Welcome to Tankha Pace podcast, Human in the Loop. Here we discuss about how AI is changing the human behavior of work and their future. I'm your host Shashank Tiwari, and in every podcast we'll invite industry leaders and get their practical insights on how AI is impacting HR, payroll, compliance in the future of work. Today, I'm delighted to welcome one of our esteemed guests, Mr. Sarabjit Singh, Managing Director of Akal Information Systems, is bringing along more than 2 decades of experience building workforce solutions for global businesses. He bring along very rich practical insights.
So, welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thank you, Shashank.
How are you doing today?
As fresh as the rains outside.
That's great. Perfect. So, before we get into AI specifically, I want to ask you one question. As you have seen HR industry evolve across 26 years, right? From a basic payroll software to what we are seeing today. What's that one thing that has stayed constant with every wave of change?
Well, this podcast is all about HR. So the only thing which has remained constant for last 26 years is human.
Okay.
So you call it human resource, you call it an HR process, everything changes except the human inside. So I am pretty confident that whatever AI does or whatever any new technology does in this industry, human always remains human. And the emotions, the body, mind, spirit of a human always remains to the basic fundamental.
Perfect. And that's exactly why your perspective towards AI is very valuable to us because you have seen the industry from very scratch and you know what works and what not. So, coming to my first question, people these days are divided into two camps. Camp 1 say AI will replace HR jobs very soon. And Camp 2 says relax, it's just a better productivity tool. Nothing is going to be happen. But I know that you are in neither of the two camps. Where do you exactly stand?
Well, I'll say both are right and both are wrong.
Mhm.
So, like, it cannot be this or that situation. It is you. First thing is that you cannot take human out of the loop.
Right?
So, human angle always remains.
Mhm.
Uh, HR is the custodian of human story. So, you can say AI is enablement to the human story, but it cannot become the author of the human story. So HR will remain will lose jobs because of AI? It's a wrong question. AI will enable the HR process.
Right.
So the data within the process will get transformed and outcomes, new outcomes, which we might not even think today, will definitely come out. But the human angle, the human story will always stay because HR is all about humans. So both are partially correct and both are partially wrong. So I don't take sides.
Okay. Okay. Got it. I have usually heard that you say a word catalyst with AI. You have never used a word assistant or a co-pilot or a tool. Why only catalyst? What is the distinction you are drawing?
Well, I you might have heard like I've always been using the word catalyst.
Mhm.
The catalyst, if you remember molasses from
Right.
your college days,
Right.
so it's basically transforms. So whenever you do molasses of sugarcane or
Mm.
anything, and you transform that into alcohol or something, so catalyst means something which transforms, and AI is transforming. it's not a productivity tool. It's a transformation tool.
Right.
AI is intelligence. It can interpret data, it can process data, it can signal outcomes, it can weigh outcomes, and it can even create biases and non-biases. So it has its own intelligence, which will evolve and grow gradually. So catalyst is the only right word when discussed in context with human story. It is not a productivity tool. It'll transform how we think about HR processes. However, it might not touch a human being, but it can create content. It can create outcomes from the data which it is fed in. So it'll definitely transform, and that transformation will definitely be called a catalyst.
Okay.
It'll enable the processes. It'll transform the processes, but calling it a productivity tool is lame.
Right.
People who don't understand might call it,
Right.
but they're partially wrong about it.
Okay. So let me ask you a direct question. Some people believe that AI will eventually replace HR jobs, HR work, and the need of human expertise is just a excuse or a resisting thing that we are ignoring the change of AI. So what would you say to them?
Well, I'll say they don't understand what is HR. I'm so blunt. People might get offended, but I'll definitely say I have 26 years of experience, and I've been in various positions through my experience and solid leadership roles. I might not have led the masses, but I've led groups, I've led teams, I've led business units, and I'm pretty sure that a human story, a human being, is body, mind, spirit, right? Let's keep the body away. So AI can emulate mind because it's all about intelligence. It'll process data, it'll create signals, it'll drive outcomes, it'll create actions, it'll create data and content, new contents, inferences which we have not seen from that data. But where will it bring the spirit from? Organization is all about the spirit. When you say leadership, when you say motivation, when you say inspiration, when you say passion, when you say belonging, when you say trust, security, judgments, I'll say solidarity, camaraderie, where will it come from?
Right.
A machine cannot produce it.
Exactly.
So think of I'll give you a simple example of army. Can AI make soldiers fight?
No.
Just a simple, think about it in your mind and you'll get your answer. You don't have to ask me again this question.
Right.
So I think from both the perspectives, mind and spirit, both in conjunction will do wonders. But if we separate the two and we try to see like AI will drive or spirit will drive, no, we need both. So hence our wise men have always like kept a balance between mind and spirit and body. So body is an instrument, mind and spirit are things which make us work.
All right. That's really amazing. So what I understood is that the catalyst does the work, but the direction still comes from someone who understands what the outcome should be.
Obviously, yes. Obviously, yes. AI needs to be governed. Compliances need to be approved. Things need to be managed, and it has always have to be human controlling the process or the outcome. It cannot be AI controlling the outcome. It can produce outcomes, but which one to choose from, what data you are looking forward to, how will it create an impact on the outcome, will create an impact, is what a human has to always decide.
Right.
Look, HR is the most sensitive process in any organization. It directly impacts the livelihoods, the careers, the compliances, and feeling of identity of a human being. And you cannot leave all this in the hands of a machine,
Exactly.
which cannot understand the feelings. You might have heard of IQ and EQ,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So where did EQ came from? Like whenever this revolutions, industrial revolution started and people started talking about IQ and how it can help in the organizations, it went good, but then it flopped because what they were missing was EQ. And EQ is our emotions. And what's our emotional quotient? Uh, Let me give you an example. Uh, Assessment. So, like performance assessments in the organization. So, everything is data, peer reviews, manager feedbacks, performance signals, past performance, where do we want to go. So you can categorize performers, non-performers, whether these guys to be chucked out, whether these guys to be retained or appraised or maybe given promotions. So this is the decision of any appraisal program,
Exactly.
performance
Right.
management program, right? Now, if you consider everything in data and you feed it to AI will give you perfect, appropriate signals that this guy is a non-performer. But it'll never tell you why he's a non-performer. Now, when you compare year on year on year, you will find last year he was the highest performance and today he has no performance. And what's the reason? Now comes the EQ in picture. He is not running the right encouragement. His boss is not comfortable with him. He's discouraged.
Right.
Maybe he has some family problems. Maybe his mom is not doing well.
Exactly.
Maybe he has some commercial issues, some personal issues, some identity issues, some psychological issues. And where will this decision come from with AI? Because that won't understand it.
Exactly.
You won't believe, I know hundreds of organizations who keep psychologists as their HR guys. Now, when psychologists are the HR guys, what are they doing? They're not running the processes.
Right.
So they're running human psyche.
Exactly.
And AI cannot pick up the human psyche. You simple take a word trust or empathy or like and passion.
Right.
Can AI understand this? These are all spirit parts of a human.
Mm-hmm.
And spirit is not understandable. It can create words that it look like AI is creating empathy, but it doesn't feel.
Right.
So that anything which cannot feel but is producing the right words is not the right thing. We knew it, like our parents told us. This person is not correct because he has duality. He thinks something different and says something different. This is what we have heard of till today,
Exactly,
right?
right.
Our teachers, our parents have always taught us. But when you look at AI, I won't say don't trust or distrust AI, but it cannot feel. It doesn't have a spirit. You need balance of mind. It doesn't require a balance of mind.
Right.
You do meditation for that. It cannot. Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
so it's always focused because it's a machine. So a machine cannot govern a human being. It can pick up my data. It can analyze my data, give me outcomes, which I may or might not have known till today, but it cannot drive my spirit.
Right.
And it cannot even touch base there. Like I don't see science. I've seen numerous movies, futuristic movies, but I've not seen science getting to that level where a robo needs a meditation.
Right.
So when I see that, I'll believe that yes, AI can do. But today, I am 100% sure. Every HR guy who leads an HR process should always think from two perspectives. HR has data and data has intelligence, and you can always use transformatory technologies to
True.
churn that data and drive outcomes.
Right.
But end of the day, you need to manage human story.
Right.
You need to you got to keep a resolve in your mind that you are interacting with humans, and those humans need to perform and lead to create an outcome in the organization. Like a soldier in the army,
Correct.
he has a purpose, he has an identity, he has brotherhood, he has courage, he wants to do something for the country.
Right.
Can AI fulfill all that? It cannot create a soldier. So as long as we are soldiers of the corporate world, AI cannot create soldiers of the corporate world. Yes, it can drive processes, and I'm very happy about it. I am gung ho. I am a techie guy. I'm a HR guy, but basically I'm an engineer. I understand technology. I was one of the initiators of AI, drivers of AI in my organization. Last 2 years we have been driving AI, and I promote AI to the fullest. Even train people on AI, but I always create an 50% mark on my left side. AI is always on my left side, and right side is always human angle.
Right.
If I can create good leaders, I can create good human beings who can create value, who can create impact. AI can always support that. So HR should be AI enabled HR process. It cannot be either AI or either human. It cannot be that.
So, could you share an example, either from your real life experience or a hypothetical one, where an organization completely rely on AI in HR without any human intervention? What serial consequences they need to suffer with?
Oh, there are many. Like, I'll say humanity has not reached to that point wherein they have started to emulate mistakes. But take my word, AI, whatever transformation it does, it learns from data. And you want to drive HR through AI in your organization, you will feed him data. So if you feed it broken data, it'll emulate that brokenness on scale. So if your recruitment process had a bias, so take my word, AI will create that bias on scale. So maybe your organization will be known for that bias in the world in next 2 months, 3 months. And it's very common. Like, it's garbage in, garbage out. So you give it anything and it'll scale it up
Right.
and create a transformation around that weakness or a problem or a bias or anything you say. So I'll say there's, like, blindly following AI will be lame. You need to be smart enough to use AI. It's not a personal conversation or what you do with ChatGPT or Gemini, what you can do with your HR processes. That's a personal conversation, and this is HR processes. And a person needs to be smart enough to use AI, because it's like we heard stories of jinn that came out of Chirag, right? So you don't know what to ask the jinn, and jinn will kill you.
Right.
So it is better to be intelligent using AI rather than using it for the heck of using it.
Right.
Think about a problem you want to solve, and then consider AI for solving that problem. It's a solution to a problem. It's not an abstract decorative piece which you can keep it in your organization and enjoy that, yes, I have AI. And that too on your most vulnerable process, which is HR. HR is the most vulnerable process. Your HR collapses, your organization collapses. A human being or any, I'll say, employee in your organization, his internal trust is that, yes, I will be treated fair. This is the first trust he has. I am respected. His self-esteem. My salary will come on time. My compliances will be followed. There'll be a discipline. Now, how will you implement all this?
Right. Exactly.
So you need to be intelligent enough to do this. So blindly talking about AI, I'll say, not the right approach.
So the real
Think
risk.
whatever you do.
So the real risk here is not AI can make mistakes, but the real risk is AI can make mistakes at
On scale. Yes.
month after month.
Not month after month, in the same month to a level which you cannot even think of.
Exactly. Right. And it can make mistakes very confidently if we don't notice.
And then it can even cheat you.
Right.
Since intelligence is the basic identity of AI,
Right.
because the name is artificial intelligence, right?
True.
So it's learning from its outcomes. So it can dodge you.
Right.
And you need to be smart enough to use AI. So one it's an orchestration of agents, right? So one agent gives an output, the second uses that output and gives you another output and all
True,
that.
true.
And if you try to say no, I don't like your answer, and no, I don't, this is wrong, and it'll try to
Convince.
dodge your
Right, yeah.
questions and maybe try to say press itself that
Right.
yes, whatever I'm giving is right, your data might be wrong.
Right.
And if it's not happening today, it might start happening in 3 to 6 months down the line. So HR is the most vulnerable process. I'm thankful you called me here. I'd like to caution all CHROs in this world that please think it from mind and spirit perspective, from the human story perspective. Don't please consider HR as a process. It's a process, yes, but it consists of human beings.
Right.
You've done your MBA?
Right.
Yes. So when you say HR, you say organizational behavior. This is a very common word, right? You use the word culture. So do you think what is culture? Culture is what the guys talk in corridors, how they think they will dress up,
True.
how they think they will think when they will enter the office,
True.
how to behave. Nobody is teaching them, but the culture is deriving from that perspective. I'll tell you a very small example. I was pretty early in my career. I talked to one of my friends. He was in Chicago. And I asked him, like, where are you? Like, I won't like to name the guy, say XYZ. And I asked him, like, XYZ, you've not been calling for last more than 1 month. Where are you? Oh, God, I changed my job and I'm loving it. Now, what is there in the job which you are loving? Like, I'll also like to hear that.
Right, yeah.
And he said, look, I wake up at 4 in the morning. I get ready, go to the airport, pick up a 6:30 flight, reach to my destination because you're in US. So obviously any destination is either 1, 2, 3 to 6 hours away. So he travels to the destination, does his daily meetings and comes back to his home back in Chicago by the night, 10:30 and something. And he's doing that 5 days a week, sometimes 4, sometimes 3, but almost like this. And he says, I'm enjoying. I said, how many months you have been in this job? He said, it's 1.5 months, but it's fun. It's adventure. And then I asked him, like, why do you think this is adventure? Like, because whatever outcome that conversation was, the outcome was that the organization had created a culture wherein this was considered fun and adventure, and everybody thought it from that perspective. However, on the second side, I knew so many people who had traveled this way and had left their jobs because of this travel.
Exactly. Right.
You got my point. But the culture was deriving this excitement and this adventure from his life and getting him work for 12 to 16 hours a day because that was the culture. Like, it was governing that kind of an attitude from a human being. Now, whatever, like, this is an example, it's bad or good, any which ways, but what I was trying to tell you was that culture governs us. It derives our outcomes. It makes us work in the organization. Yes, salary, increments, discipline, attendance, appraisals, yes, everything does. But culture does. And culture is cumulative emotions of organizational behavior, and the behavior comes from the softer spirit part of a human being. So I have always learned HR from this angle. Process had always been secondary to me because process follows, and I have learned it this way. I've lived my life this way, and touch wood, I have my teams who have been with me for more than 25 years today, and they stick with us and they don't leave us. And I think something might have been there, and that was always the human angle. It was not the process angle. Right. So I don't see AI touching that angle at this moment of time. Tomorrow, I don't know, but today, not.
Right.
So, am I diverting your question,
No,
or
that's
I'm getting to the
perfectly.
crux?
We are going with the flow, and that's
Great.
the perfect thing.
Great.
So, so in country like India, where the payroll and compliance are so complex because of PF, ESI, TDS, and the state-wise regulations, we all understand. What is the one thing or the part where do you genuinely think AI can make things much easier, and where the human intervention will always be required? Where are those? What are those
Well,
parts?
this is where I will lean towards my left side.
Okay.
I have a bias for AI.
Okay.
AI can do the job and do the job perfectly.
Okay.
Uh, State-wise, different regulations, dynamic regulations, changing day in, day out, AI can monitor that. Calculations, formulas, allocations, AI can do that. Processing them to create the right wage, AI can do that. Employees have queries regarding that, have issues regarding that, it can solve it. So AI can do the job. And this is where I am fully bullish about AI, because earlier a productivity tool could not do this. AI can do this.
Okay.
And that's why I use the word catalyst the last time. Like you have
Right.
been hearing me
Right.
for a pretty long time now. AI is the catalyst. It's transforming the way we saw technology. I remember when I tried to digitize HR processes beyond standard payroll and attendance some 5-6 years back. Like these were basics. You always automate
Right.
them.
Mm.
But I wanted the workflow to be managed automatically. Like it was pretty clumsy workflow. A recruiter, they use an ATS, they try to gather resumes, then they try to make inferences which resume is the good resume, which is bad resume. Then they try to score on the resumes. Then gradually you interview them. Then after interviewing, you select. On your selection always consists some kind of a bias. Candidates create those bias, or you create that bias from your organization perspective, but then you derive some outcomes, and those outcomes were always like 80-20. I use numerous tools like handwriting assessment, behavioral assessment, and psychometrics, but there was always no achieving 100% output. Whatever selection you do, you will end up like 80% good guys and 20% bad guys. This always happened. Then there was a time when I stopped believing on all this technology, and I saw that vibes work. And there was something called batting. I call that batting average. Batting average means like which one of the interviewer has the best average of hiring the right selections.
Okay.
And this used to be my criteria for a pretty long time. After all that technology filtration and all that, because measured outcomes were not interpreted, they were not fed into the system. There was a no 360-degree loop. But today I find that okay, if I leave apart the human angle of the recruitment or selections, AI can probably do most of the job. Learn from the outcomes, create changes in the processes, appropriate changes wherever the processes require some kind of a change or a deviation or some kind of a adjustment or calibration. AI can do that, learn from its outcomes day in, day out, and make it more precise. Obviously, it won't be able to measure the candidate energy. It won't be able to measure his positive or negative vibes, what he thinks, what is his perspective. Now, but it can always come closer to that.
True.
And that's where I believe AI is going to be transformative for HR processes. So using it to the fullest of its capability is the good CHRO's job. So I feel that CHROs should start using AI more and more, not on the scale, but at least on their personal levels, so they can visualize how AI can perform, they can learn, it can process data, and use those capabilities into their system to the fullest. That will be an intelligent CHRO. And I love that CHRO.
Okay, that's amazing. So here's a different perspective as well. Some people believe that if we train AI with enough payroll and compliance data, eventually it will become that smart that very little human intervention will be required, right? But you seem to have a different view on this. So why do you think human expertise will still be essential if AI become that smart?
So I'll counter question. What do you mean by little? Little is like 25%, 10%, 15%, or 40%. Anything less than
Right.
50% is little.
Hmm.
So what do you say? How much intervention will be required? You quantify that, and then I'll answer accordingly.
Okay. So we can say that only 20% of what HR is doing right now.
I'll say 50%.
Okay.
We'll always require 50%.
Hmm.
Till I'm convinced that AI has become human.
Mhm.
Because HR is mind and spirit.
Right.
It'll emulate mind and it'll come to 99, 100% of whatever, like, I don't know. Well, it can, what I know is that we don't use more than 2 to 3% of our brain, right? So AI is trying to use more of the information, the way I process my brain. My brain processes the data. I might use 3% of my brain to process the data. Maybe AI might be using more of brain, but where will it bring the spirit from? I motivate. How will it motivate? I encourage. I keep my actions in a certain way that they transmit trust. They transmit positive vibes. Right? You ever heard that in any effective communication, 3% are words and 6 to 7% is tone of your voice, and 92 something 93% is body language.
Right.
Now, where will the body language come from? I'm wondering. Like, words will come 3%. Where will the tone of, okay, tone can, AI can learn to change the tone. So still it remains 7 to 8%. Where will the body language come from? It comes from vibes, the energies we emit. You have seen gods, they have auras behind their heads. Where will that auras come from? Those are energies which we transmit. And human resource is all about that. It's all about, like, I had a good mentor. You always say this. I had a good teacher. He made me do this. Dronacharya created Pandavas and Kauravas and warriors of the best warriors of that time. So Dronacharya was only the skill. No. He was a guru. So guru had the spirit to do it. So that spirit is not going to come from AI. So 50% is spirit, 50% is mind. So it can emulate my mind. It cannot carry my spirit. It cannot emulate my spirit. And hence it cannot carry the spirit of the organization. So organization behavior, I don't see it can create a collapse in it, or it can enhance it, but it can only enable it. It cannot lead it. So the question is wrong on its fundamentals. So what percentage? Little more, I'll say the level of the spirit in a human being is the level of intervention of a human being which will always be required in an HR process.
Great. So what I understood is with our conversation so far, the problem is not on the computational part, it's on the contextual part. And contextual understanding always comes with the years of experience, not with the data alone.
Yeah, some people are born with that kind of an knowledge. Our gurus, we have been taught with stories, Mahabharatas, Ramayans, Seku gurus and warriors and all that.
Right.
They were born with it, but AI is not born with it. It's garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
So anything which is created doesn't come from subconscious mind. It comes from conscious mind. And subconscious mind is driven by spirit. So when AI will start emulating subconscious mind, I'll be the first worried person. I don't see that happening very soon. Because conscious mind is creating an AI. And till that conscious mind is creating an AI, it'll always be a conscious mind. It cannot be a subconscious mind. And we as human beings have always been 50-50, subconscious and conscious, spirit and mind. And this is all along. So I think I made myself pretty clear
Right.
and explicit that 50% will always remain human and 50% will always be process. Process can be enabled by AI, but human being cannot be managed by a machine.
I think this distinction matters enormously for everybody who is implementing AI in the business. If they understand this difference, so they do it very easily.
I think they should pretty understand it today. If they are not able to understanding it
Right.
till date, I'll like to advise them one thing: don't approach AI because your competitor is using AI, or your fellow guy or your fellow friend is using AI. Start with the problem. Don't start with the AI. AI is solution to so many problems, but start with the problem. I'll see, and you will see that you might not require AI to solve your problem.
Right.
You'll require it to transform it, yes, but problem obviously comes from wrong data, garbage data, and clean up your house, make it manageable, and then give it into the hands of AI, which can transform it. But basically, fundamentals need to be, the ground needs to be clear and fine.
Right.
It AI needs a good ground to work on.
Hmm.
You cannot give him garbage data and then expect AI to produce results. And you put those results on the most vulnerable part of your organization, and the organization will collapse. So transform, but intelligently. Use all your human mind and spirit to control the jinn. Don't get controlled by the jinn.
True. True.
Yeah.
So let's say there is a CHRO watching this podcast, and his leadership wants him or her to implement AI in the business, and at the same point of time, he can't afford to lose his existing HR processes. So what's the first step you want him or her to take, and what's one mistake you advise him to ignore or avoid at this point of time?
Exactly. I'll again repeat whatever I said just now. Start with your problem. Don't start with AI.
Okay.
Simple answer.
Mm-hmm.
Start with your problem, understand your problem, create right inputs for that, correct your data, and then feed it into AI systems, and then use that AI platform to transform your process. This is the best starting point. Don't think AI will solve your problem like a jinn.
Mm-hmm.
It cannot. CHRO has to do it. But the CHRO is leading the human story, and he shouldn't kill the human story.
True.
So this, I am not repeating my answers because my answers was already proactive to your
Right.
question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not repeating them.
Right.
But he should start with the problem statement. He should not start with the AI statement.
Fair enough. So, as we are on the edge of concluding our podcast, I'd like to understand if we look 3 years ahead, what do you think HR in any organization will realistically look alike? And how do you see HR teams working? And what role do you think AI will play in that future?
Let me give you one single line.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be AI enabled HR.
Mm-hmm.
That's, I hope you understand.
Right?
So AI is not taking over HR. HR is not sidelining AI. It'll be AI enabled HR. Organizations which can respect human values, which can create the right culture, which can create the right environment, and right AI enabling tools will lead, and the CHROs which are creating this kind of a story will be the winners.
Mm-hmm.
And those thinking that AI will make them lose their jobs are wrong. It's delusional, and no need to go that way. So CHROs can become CEOs of tomorrow because they have operational excellence through AI and they lead the human story. So I personally have a very, very big confidence that earlier when we were doing our MBA, we saw that CEO position was more and more getting taken over by finance positions. So CFOs were natural progressors to
CEOs.
CEOs. Few operational guys, COOs becoming CEOs were happening, but CFOs were becoming CEOs. And interestingly, sales guys were getting outsourced because marketing was always there was a fashion of outsourcing marketing. Call centers were in. And CHRO becoming a CEO was never heard of.
Right.
Now think of a perspective where COO job is done by AI because it's all operations excellence.
Right.
And it's done through repetitive processes which can be easily automated by AI. All intelligence getting created from predictive analytics or anything by AI. Finance getting done by AI, right? Human spirit is the only thing which needs to be led today, right?
100%.
So I am longing to see the first CHRO becoming the CEO of an organization. AI creates an opportunity for CHROs to become CEOs of tomorrow.
Right.
So it's such a gung-ho time. CHROs should have fun, love, and enjoy their job because tomorrow they'll be leading the companies they are into. This is what excitement level I have about AI.
That's a very forward-looking perspective. And
Yep.
so before we end, I'd like to do something a little fun. We have a quick rapid fire questions for you. So just go with your first instinct and keep the answers short. So are you ready for that?
Oh, sure.
So AI in recruitment, a net positive or net risk for Indian companies right now?
Net positive.
Okay. The one HR process you would not let AI touch without a human in the loop.
Motivation,
Got it?
behavior, culture, spirit, EQ. AI cannot touch it. So obviously, I won't let anybody touch it.
Right.
AI cannot touch it.
Great.
As simple as that.
One book, thinker, or resource on AI that every CHRO should be following.
Reading books in today's times. I'm sorry, I don't come from that school today. AI is pretty prevalent. Why should I read a map when I can walk the terrain? So I'll suggest and advise CHROs, make it a ritual. Try to converse with AI every 10 minutes a day, every day, and see what potential AI has. Try to challenge, see what kind of opportunities it can bring in, converse it with it, take their advice, give them advice, talk, brainstorm with them, and you will learn far more than reading a book. Just 10 minutes a day, but make it a ritual every day. Whatever tool you want to do, use ChatGPT, Gemini, any, Anthropic, any, but walk the terrain. Don't read the maps.
That's amazing. Biggest myth about AI and HR in one sentence.
AI will take my job. Biggest myth. Biggest myth. I told you, CHROs will become CEOs because of AI.
Right.
So it'll create the jobs. It'll transform the jobs. I say like repetitive jobs might or might not remain tomorrow, but you can always, human being is change is the only constant in this world.
True.
So we should change, learn, unlearn, and become better ourselves, better version of ourselves. And that's how you will sustain all this. This question is absurd.
Right.
I've seen we used to rub stones to create fire.
Right.
So are we still, when the fire came in, the people who used to rub stones, they lost their jobs? Obviously not.
So transform.
It's transformation.
Great. Last one. 5 years from now, does the CHRO title still exist as we know?
Yeah, good CHROs will always become CEOs, and their followers will become CHROs. So CHRO title is not going anywhere.
Okay.
But CHROs, more and more CHROs, you will see becoming CEOs. I'm gung-ho about that.
Great. So this has been a wonderful conversation, sir. One message really stands out. It's not about AI versus humans. It's about AI working alongside with the right human expertise. Right?
Yeah, you asked about that book resource or something. You read any book or you read any resource, it's working hand in hand, co-intelligence. But don't lose your spirit, guys. You are a human being. You need a balanced approach towards body, mind, spirit. AI can only touch your mind. Your body stays with you. Your spirit stays with you. And your mind, you're just using 3% of your brain power. You need to learn to enhance that. And you will see maybe AI is laggard.
Right.
Thank you so much for calling me here.
Thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
us today, sir. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much.
If this episode matters, how you're thinking about AI in your organization, please share it with your leadership team, your CFO, founder, CHRO. This matters a lot for them. We'll be back next month with another one that matters. Until then, please keep human in the loop.